Remains. Inshallah, we will begin. Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Al-Fatiha binati Nabi wal Indifa wa ta'alif wa ta'allumi wal iktida'i bin Nabi al-Muqtari bis-sirri wal ijhar wa biniyati tanasuri wa ta'awuni wa ta'adudi ala din wa iqamati syari'ati sayyidil mursalin. Anallahu yarzuquna kal-malan nashat wal himmati wal jiddi wal ijtihad fi talabil ulumin nafi'ah wa amalin biha ma'al ikhlas وطول العمر في طاعة الله ورسوله وحسن الخاتمة عند الموت وإلى حضرة النبي محمد صلى الله عليه وسلم. الفاتحة. فاتحة. أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. الحمد لله رب العالمين الرحمن الرحيم مالك يوم الدين إياك نعبد وإياك نستعين اهدنا الصراط المستقيم صراط الذين أنعمت عليهم غير المغضوب عليهم ولا الضالين آمين. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. الحمد لله رب العالمين وبه نستعين على أمور الدنيا والدين وصلى الله وسلم على سيدنا محمد وعلى آله وصحبه أجمعين. اللهم صل وسلم على سيدنا محمد الفاتح لما أغلق والخاتم لما سبق ناصر الحق بالحق والهادي إلى صراطك المستقيم صلى الله عليه وعلى آله حق قدره ومقداره العظيم ولا حول ولا قوة إلا بالله العلي العظيم. اللهم افتح علينا وذرياتنا في فتوح العارفين وفقهنا في الدين وعلمنا التأويل واهدنا إلى سواء السبيل. اللهم ارزقنا يا ربي فهم النبيين وحفظ المرسلين وإلهام الملائكة المقربين في عافية برحمتك يا أرحم الراحمين. اللهم أغننا بالعلم وزينا بالحلم وأكرمنا بالتقوى وجملنا بالعافية برحمتك يا أرحم الراحمين. وصلى الله على سيدنا محمد وعلى آله وصحبه أجمعين والحمد لله رب العالمين. Any open to any questions? Anyone got any questions? No? If there's no question, then I think the other time when I was reviewing what the answer to you, I said that he washes whatever he can, right? Whatever he can wash. I forgot to include that he needs to, when he's well, what he needs to do is he needs to he needs to qada or he needs to i'adah the prayers that he did. So it is like a person who does tayammum, then he needs to i'adah his prayers, he needs to repeat his prayers. So the same lah for him, that when he is well, he's able to take tahara completely, perfectly, then he will need to renew or he needs to repeat his prayer. So in the case of repeating his prayer, it is not what do you call this? It is not necessary for him to do it immediately. Right? It is not fawran. It is not imposed on him to do it. There's no rush because he has done the prayer. So his duty with the prayer is done. It's just that because it is not in a state of complete tahara, therefore he needs to repeat it. So when he has time, he can take and he's well and he has time, then he can do his prayer again. Or in the place of for example, when he's well, in the place of doing his rawatib, the qabliyah or ba'diyah, then he can do i'adah. And he can either do it, he can niat as i'adah or he can be niat as qada. Both are fine.
So is it qada for that? Is it qada solat back? Is it qada when you niat?
You can niat both. You can either niat i'adah or you can niat qada. Both is can. No problem.
Okay, so at the point in time, the wudu has to be as per normal, like that.
Yeah. So when he's well already. Yeah, when he's already well. Yeah.
But what if, let's say, assuming between the period where he's well, then he go, then how is it like?
Between the period that he's well, then he
meninggal lah.
Oh, then
belum sempat.
So that's why you say it's not fawran. Dia kirakan belum sempat lah. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
But try lah. At least then we give him the opinion of Imam Muzan. If he is a young person, then of course we tell him to conduct. But if let's say he's an old person, you know, he's this injury is it's really causing him a lot of pain. He's already has a lot of trouble, a lot of mashaqah, and the chances of him recovering for it, if he recovers, he's always in a state of dia sangat susah, then of course in that case, then we say that we just take the opinion that there is opinion, and that opinion is the opinion of Imam Muzani in the mazhab of Imam Shafi'i. It is within the mazhab itself. It's just that for those who do this kind of prayers, then there's no need for qada, and there's no need for i'ada, because the ada il hukuk, the according to them, you have already um given, or you have you have committed, or you have performed the rites of the prayer at that time. Yeah, it's different for yeah, but it's just that the other scholars, they argue that there is the conditions for tahara is not enough. Yeah, the conditions are okay. Okay, any other questions, anyone? If there are no questions, then inshallah, we will continue with our reading from on the chapter of prayer. And Alhamdulillah, last week we have gone all the way until to discuss about the two sujuds and the sitting between two sujuds. And we have talked about what is the minimal requirement for sujud, and what's the most complete way to sujud. And of course, when we talk about the sitting between the two prostrations, and we discuss what if a person stands before he does two sujuds, what are the things that he should do. So maybe anyone want to try, if a person stands before he sits, right? Sorry, if a person stands, that means he does his first sujud and then he stands up, and there is no julusul istiraha. He didn't sit down for a moment before standing up. And he only sujud once, and he stands up, no julusul istiraha. What should he do? Anyone can remember? Hasbi and Hakim were not in the last lesson. I'm not, so I'm maybe Danish, you want to take this? Do you remember?
So dah full night ke belum full night?
Dah full night. Full night, but he only did one sujud. But he didn't sit down for a while. As in, he didn't do the julusul istiraha, the short temporary sitting.
That one I can't remember.
Okay. Anyone, Hasbi, do you watch the video, Hasbi? You remember you got it out?
Haven't catch up actually. But if I were to guess,
Okay.
then go back to do the first sujud again.
Okay. So so I think this is a good junction for me to repeat this part. So for a person, if you did not do the first, you do the first sujud, and then you stand up all the way, right? And you didn't sit down, you realize halfway when you stand, or you're already standing up, you're reading your Fatiha, then you realize I only did one sujud. So now it is wajib upon him to do his second sujud. But the problem for this person, but there is a tafsil, there's a break. You need to look at the conditions. If the person sits julusul istiraha before standing up, that means when he goes sujud, Allahu Akbar, that means he sits for a while before going up. Then he just needs to go straight into his sujud. That means he Allahu Akbar straight into the second sujud. Can you understand? If the person did not sit for a while, that means from the state of sujud, state of sujud, Allahu Akbar, he straight away stand. There is no sitting for a while. In this case, then he has to go to the state of sitting down first. So Allahu Akbar, he goes to the state of sitting down, and then he go to the state of sujud. Okay? So this is the tafsil, this is the pecahan, this is the different scenarios. So the first scenario, if he actually sat down for a while, he has that julusul istiraha, then he just needs to go straight into sujud. If he did not sit down for a while, then he sits down and then he goes into sujud. Can you understand this? So we went through that. And now we can complete.
What?
Yes, Hakim, yes.
So the duration of sitting down is still during the Subhanallah.
For the sitting down, that means if the person did not sit the julusul istiraha, right? He goes up, then he sits down, right? That means he forgot he's going down because he realized he didn't do the second sujud. So if he sits down, then he can do his Rabbi Fili, Warhamni, Wajiburni, Warfa'ani, and so on and so forth. But if you are referring to the julusul istiraha, that means the sitting before you stand, then that qadar is still a subhanallah.
Yeah, that one. Okay.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Okay. So we have gone through until wajulusu baina sajdaini wa yatma'innu wujuban fil kul. And then after that, wa yaf'alu baqi raka'at kadhalik. And then the person, one must fulfill the above obligations in each raka'at. And so the obligations that we are referring to is from this reading of the Fatiha all the way down. The reading of the Fatiha all the way down. And when we mean what we mentioned, when one must fulfill the above obligations, that means if a person realizes that he misses out, he misses out, or he forgets if he does. So the first scenario is he misses out. He knows that he misses out. The second scenario, if he has shak, if he has doubt, he's in a doubtful manner that he has whether he did any of the actions. Therefore, he needs to either return to the action or he needs to add in, or the raka'at that he was doing is nullified. So this one also has its own pecahan, has its own tafsil. Hold on. This one itself has its own tafsir. Okay, so what do I mean by that? The first one is, if I am praying, for example, I am praying I am in my second rak'at, and I'm doing my ruku'. Okay, never mind. I'm doing my ruku'. And I realized that I didn't do the sujud, the second sujud for my first rak'at. Can see? I'm doing my ruku' of my second rak'at. I forgot that I didn't do my first sujud. And let's say I have done the julusul istiraha. Okay, let's just say I've done my julusul istiraha. And I'm in the state of my ruku' in my second rak'at. In this case, because I have not met, there is no one rak'at has not lapsed. One rak'at has not lapsed. That means I did not meet the second sujud of my second rak'at. I have to return back to I go straight into the sujud and then I repeat everything that I did for my second rak'at. Okay, understand that? That means I'm in my state of my ruku', I'm doing Subhana Rabbil Azimi wa Hamdi, then suddenly I realize that, alamak, I didn't do my sujud just now, my second sujud for my first rak'at. So in this case, I go straight to my sujud. Wajib to go straight into it. This wajib to do straight into it. So I go straight into my sujud, and then I go back up and I baca Fatiha, and then I do my ruku' again, and I continue so on and so forth. Because one raka'at has not lapsed. I have not met the second sujud of the next raka'at. If I am now the same thing, I'm in my second ruku'. I'm in the ruku' of my second raka'at, but I realized that I didn't do ruku' in my first raka'at. I didn't do ruku' in my first raka'at. Can see that? So I'm in my second raka'at. I didn't do ruku' of my first raka'at. So in this case, because one whole raka'at has lapsed, therefore what I do is I continue with my prayer, and the raka'at that I am now is considered to be my first raka'at. So that first raka'at just now, because it is not complete, it is now void. It's considered as void. So if I missed, this is in this case, all I have to do is I have to repeat my I just continue on, and that is taken to be my first rak'at, and then I continue second, third, fourth rakaat, and so on and so forth. And what I do at the end, before I give my salam, I do my sujood sahwi. There's the prostration of forgetfulness. So this is how one does if one forgets in the prayer. And the condition is he must do it in the state of forgetfulness, not in the state of he didn't do it on purpose. If a person does it on purpose, he purposely misses the second sujood, then his whole salat is invalid. His whole salat is invalid. But if he does it in a state of forgetfulness, and usually it is done in a state of forgetfulness, therefore he does like what I have said. Number one, you see whether one raka'at has lapsed. If one raka'at has lapsed, if one raka'at has not lapsed, you go straight into the whatever that you have missed, and you continue as per normal. If one raka'at has lapsed, then after that, what you do is you continue your prayer, and that raka'at, whatever raka'at that has a shortage in it, that raka'at is considered void. So now you just minus one raka'at from whatever that you're doing. Okay. Any questions about over here?
Well, okay, never mind. Then you should go first.
Go first.
Okay. Sorry, apa tu was the definition of one whole rakaat? Is it the same action? So example from first rakaat rukuk to second rakaat punya rukuk or what?
Yes, correct. That's one whole rakaat lapse. That means one action, the rukun to the rukun to rukun. From one rakaat. So like you said, one rukuk to the rukuk of the first rakaat to the rukuk of second rakaat, or the second sujud of the first rakaat to the second sujud of the second rakaat.
Okay, can.
Yeah. Danish?
Yeah, cool. For just confirm kalau one rakaat has not lapsed, still have to do sujud sahwi, is it?
Sorry? Yes, still have to do sujud sahwi. Still have to do sujud sahwi. Because what he did is he has added actions, he has added rukun due to the state of forgetfulness. Yeah.
Okay, so just now when you were asking whether or not but the first question that you asked kan, yang pasal apa tu, whether you dah naik, then after that whether you should whether or not
that means the first sujud, after first sujud you stand up and then you go back down, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. In that same case, you should do your prayer prostration of forgetfulness also.
Okay.
Yeah. Inshallah, maybe I think I will go through sujud sahwi later on, or if not soon, because sujud sahwi takes a bit of time to understand. Okay, so that is the idea of that is on the topic of this portion where we say that one must fulfill the obligations in each raka'ah. Then we can continue the first tasyahhud. Wa tasyahhudul awwalu wa qu'uduhu sunnatun wa tasyahhudul akhiru wal julusu fihi fardun. The first tasyahhud and the sitting during this part of the salat is sunnah. The second tasyahhud and sitting during it is are compulsory. So wa tasyahhudul awwal wa qu'uduhu sunnah. Now the first tasyahhud. The first tasyahhud is done in every at the end of every 2 rakaat. So at the end of every 2 rakaat. Why do I say at the end of every 2 rakaat? Because there can be instances where you pray 8 rakaat in one go. So in that case, the tashahhud awal is sunnah on the second, 4th, and 6th rakaat. Okay, so it is sunnah to do the tashahhud awal at the end of every 2 rakaat, except for the very last rakaat. So that is the sunnah. So if, for example, if I want to do duha, I salat duha. Now I want to salat duha, usalli sunnat al-duha, 4 rakaat. I can do that. That's not a problem. It is not conditioned to do there's no condition to do duha in there's no condition to do duha in 2 by 2s. Afdal, awla, the best is to do it 2 by 2. But if you do it in a whole set of 8 or whole set of 4, that is also sufficient, or that is also valid. The only sunnah prayer that it is compulsory, that is wajib, that it is a condition for it to be done 2 by 2 is the tarawih prayer. That is the only sunnah prayer that you have to do it 2 by 2, the tarawih prayer. So every tarawih prayer you do 2 by 2 by 2 by 2 by 2. But your duha, your witr, your qabli az-zuhur, your ba'di az-zuhur, all your prayers, you can do it 4 in one go, 6 in one go, 8 in one go, 12 in one go, 10 in one go, as per you wish. As per you wish. In fact, your witr prayers, you can do 11 in one go. You can do 11 in one go, where you do 2, there's 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, you do tasyahhud awal, and then the 10th raka'at, then you do tasyahhud akhir. Any questions here? If there's no questions, then we can continue. So when we talk about tasyahhud akhir, tasyahhud awal, right, the first tasyahhud, then we remember that the sunnah is to sit in the iftirash position. The sunnah is to sit in the iftirash position. So to repeat, iftirash position is when you sit on your left leg. That means your left leg is tucked in and you sit on it, and your right leg is raised. So in your tahiyat awal position, I think you can see that. I think I demonstrated it in the previous video, so you all can just skip to that part if you want to see what is the tasyahhud awal position. And the other time also I said you can ask siapa ni Hatim to demonstrate to you, because Hatim has I saw a picture of Hatim sitting in there. I was like, mashallah, that's a very good example of a tasyahhud awal position. So you can go ask Hatim to go and demonstrate to you. So that is the tasyahhud awal position. Then that is the sunan is the iftirash position. And then when you talk about the iftirash position, then you say and then you recite the tahiyyat. So I'm going to jump a bit. So we're going to go into the tahiyyat. When you're reciting the tahiyyat, then you recite at-tahiyyatu. The most basic or the most simplest is to recite at-tahiyyatu lillah. Salamun alayka ayyuhan nabiyyu wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Salamun alayna wa ala ibadillahi salihin. Ashhadu an la ilaha illallah wa anna Muhammadan Rasulullah. In the book of Al-Jami'ah is added wa anna Muhammadan abduhu wa rasuluh. But in the most minimum, we can say ashhadu an la ilaha illallah wa anna Muhammadan Rasulullah. And the shortest, and then you add in Allahumma salli ala Muhammadin. So the sunnah for tasyahhud awal, the sunnah for the first tasyahhud is to keep it short. But that doesn't mean you recite for the tasyahhud. That means it's better to recite this kind of tasyahhud, at-tahiyatullah. It's still best to recite as per the hadith of Imam Abdullah ibn Abbas. Sayyidina Abdullah ibn Abbas radiyallahu anhuma, he narrated the best. The tasyahhud in his tahiyat is at-tahiyatul mubarakatuh salawatu tayyibatu lillah. Assalamu alayka ayyuhan nabiyyu wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Assalamu alayna wa ala ibadillahi salihin. Ashhadu an la ilaha illallah wa ashhadu anna Muhammadar Rasulullah, as per normal, as per what we are used to. And then of course, but then when we are looking into the salawat, then it is best to also to keep it short. Allahumma salli ala Sayyidina Muhammad or Allahumma salli ala Muhammad. Now the question is whether it is afdal to include Sayyidina or no Sayyidina. So it is a khilaf whether you want to say Sayyidina or no Sayyidina. Imam Izzuddin ibn Abdul Salam, he was a huge scholar. In fact, they give him the title Shaykhul Islam, Imam Izzuddin bin Abdul Salam. He's a great scholar of fiqh, great scholar of theology. He's a complete imam, complete ulama. Imam Izzuddin bin Abdul Salam, his opinion is that it is preferred to add in Sayyidina. It is preferred to add in Sayyidina over the hadith. Well, Rasulullah SAW said, Allahumma salli ala Muhammad, but it is preferred to say Sayyidina. Because, why? Because there's a, based on the saying, Sulukul adab awla min imtithalatil amr. If I can remember, that's the Quran. Sulukul adab awla min imtithalil amr. And the path of adab is more preferred than following the command. And the path of adab is preferred to than following the command. But Imam Ibn Hajar, he said, in the truth, there is no issue. There is no issue in this matter. You can include Sayyidina or you don't include Sayyidina. But of course, for us, in the case of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, it is best to include Sayyidina Muhammadin out of adab to Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. And it is not something that is bid'ah. Some people say that it is bid'ah, but in fact, it is not bid'ah. It is not something that is new. There are many times where Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam refers to himself as Sayyid. In the hadith, in a famous hadith of Shafa'atul Kubra, Shafa'atul Uthma, when Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam talks about his Shafa'ah in the Day of Judgment, he says, Ana Sayyidu Waladi Adnan, Ana Sayyidu Waladi Adam, Yawm al-Qiyamah. I am the Sayyid, I am the leader, I am the master of the sons of Adam on the Day of Judgment. Also, Ana Sayyidun Nas, Yawm al-Qiyamah. And there's a lot of instances where Rasulullah SAW is referred to as our Sayyid, as our master. So in this case, it is sunnah for us to recite Sayyid. It's sunnah for us to recite Sayyid. If one does not do the tashahhud awal, one does not do the first tashahhud, then it does not nullify his prayer, but it is sunnah for him to do the sujud of the prostration of forgetfulness, sujud sahw, the prostration of forgetfulness. If one misses the tashahhud awal, why does one it is sunnah for him to do the tashahhud awal, to do the sujud of forgetfulness? Because the tashahhud awal is known as sunnah ab'ad. Sunnah ab'ad. There are two types of sunnah in prayer. One is sunnah hayat, and the other one is sunnah ab'ad. Ab'ad means part of. Sunnah that is part of the prayer. That means it's a very big sunnah that it is actually part of the prayer, integral of the prayer. But leaving but performing it is a sunnah only. So it doesn't reach to the level of rukun. It is sunnah, but if you miss it, it does not require you to make up for the prayer, or it does not nullify you, invalidate your prayer. And so the two things that are sunnah ab'ad, the most common two things that are sunnah ab'ad, the first one is tashahhud awal, the first tashahhud. The next one is kunut for fajr prayers, and for the last raka'at of the witr prayer in the month of Ramadan. In the second half of the month of Ramadan. And of course, actually, there's one more. The third one is to recite the salawat and the salutations, the prayers upon the family of the Prophet, on the family of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam in the second tashahhud, or the final tashahhud. So these are the three. You can summarize it to three. Actually, you can summarize it to four, but I'll just put three to make it simpler. The tashahhud awal, the kunut, and then to make the salawat, the prayers upon the family of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wa alihi wa sahbihi wasallam in the final tashahhud. Any questions? No? No. So the reason why we sit in a state for tasyahhud awal, we sit in the iftirash instead of the tawarruk, position, because in the narration by Imam Bukhari, in the narration by Imam, as per the narration in Bukhari, in Sahih Bukhari, Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam sat in the tawarruk position during his tashahhud. During his tashahhud, the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam sat in the tawarruk position. But in the scholars of Imam Shafi'i said that it is afdal to do for the first tashahhud to be set to be seated in the iftirash position, because the act of by sitting in iftirash position, it is easier for you to stand, and it is faster to stand than sitting in the tawarruk position. Okay. So likewise, when he does his tashahhud, his right hand should be clenched together, and the pinky finger and ring finger should be closed, as well as the middle finger. So these three close. And then you should straighten your index finger, right? And your thumb. There are two positions your thumb can take. Your thumb can take, wait, let me just see. Your thumb can either take to be beside the index finger or clench below the index finger. Yeah. You can take it like this or like this. Both are permissible. And then when you recite Ashhadu an la ilaha illallah, then you straighten and raise the finger without moving it. This is based on the hadith of Sayyidina Abdullah ibn Zubair. And there's another hadith by Sayyidina Wail bin Hujr, which state that the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam moves his finger. So yataharrak. So if you look in its literal translation, yataharrak means like this. Because Sayyidina Abdullah bin Zubair, he says he lifts, Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam lifts his finger. The other narration, Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam moves his finger. So what Imam al-Baihaqi did, Imam Baihaqi, he's a scholar of hadith, and he's a scholar in the madhab of Imam Shafi'i. He brought these two hadiths together. And he actually showed that when Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam raised his finger, when he raises his finger, that is when he moves his finger. So there is actually no difference between the raising and moving. So therefore, when we raise, it is just enough to be like that. So there are some people in the past, when they move the finger and they say that we are doing this as part of sunnah, but you are not following the sunnah, that is quite blasphemous. That is not okay. That's not blasphemous. I used the wrong word. That is quite libelious, right? You are actually, you are saying that without considering the opinions of the scholars, and that actually when you say moves, raising the finger is also considered to be moving, as per Imam Baihaqi and by the madhab of Imam Shafi'i. But the madhab of Imam Ahmad bin Hanbal, the madhab of Imam Malik, their opinion, they lean towards the opinion of moving the finger, because why they say, actually in the scholars actually say by moving the finger, it does something towards the shaitan. It does something towards the shaitan. Again. So wallahu a'lam bisawab. This is something which is Allahumma salli ala Muhammad. This is something that is some sir, and there's some secrets which of course for us laymen we are unable to unearth it, but some of the scholars, when they are their piety to Allah, Allah grants them understanding, and Allah grants them opening, and Allah puts into them the secrets of some of his commands And one of that is that they found that by moving the finger, does something to shaitan. Wallahu alam. But of course, for us, we follow what is in the madhab, our madhab, which is to put our finger in this way. Either this way or this way. Both is okay. Huh? So we say that the Arabs would say that this is 53. So actually the Arabs have a way of counting. It's a very funny, it's something which, it's not funny, actually, it's actually genius. They have a way to count from 1 to 100,000 or something just by using their fingers. And they can do that. So in fact, when they say that the tasbih, when there's groups that say they're using the tasbih is form of bid'ah, actually, and they say that Rasulullah SAW used the fingers. So when Maulana Hussein Abdul Qadir, he's a scholar of hadith, when he came and he was talking about this, he was actually saying that when he's mean the Rasulullah SAW used his finger, it is very likely that the using the finger was to count in the way of the Arabs counted. So there was a certain method that they count. Wallahu alam, I don't know. We just do 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, but Rasulullah SAW, the Arabs had their own way to communicate with us. So later, if you read the books of hadith or you read the books of fiqh, they may say that to put your finger in the form of number 53. 53. خمسة وعشرين. And the خمسة وثلاثين, sorry. And خمسة وثلاثين is actually like this. This is 53. Yeah. How you count 53? You have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. This is 50. So this 2 is 50, and then this is 3. So you have 53. So this is their way of counting. The other way is to do 23. And the other way is to do 23. So I think it's something like this. This is 23. So this is 23. Because in let me just take my reference for that is because Rasulullah because Sayyidina Abdullah bin Umar, he used the number 53 when describing the position of the hand of Rasulullah. Let me just quickly take my to share with you all the hadith. So it is in Mughni al-Muhtaj. Imam Khatib Shirbini syad hadis. Tertib. أفضل سنة كذلك ومأثور أفضل منه الله سنة وإشنا علمي وما يجيك عنه مثلا دعاء لا صح. أيوة somewhere here. There is the use of the number 53. Aywa here. So in a hadith by Sayyidina Abdullah ibn Umar radiallahu anhuma in Sahih Muslim, it says, كان عليه الصلاة والسلام إذا قعد وضع يده اليسرى على ركبته اليسرى ووضع يده اليمنى على ركبته اليمنى وعقد 53 وأشار بالسبابة. So he says, Kana, Sayyidina Abdullah bin Umar radiallahu anhuma, he said, Kana alayhi salatu wasalam. And Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wasallam used to, إذا قعد وضع يده اليسرى على ركبته اليسرى. When he is in the state of sitting, he will place his right hand on his right thigh, and he will place ووضع يده اليمنى على ركبته اليمنى, and he will place his وضع يده اليسرى على ركبته اليسرى. He will place his left hand on his left thigh. ووضع يده اليمنى على ركبته اليمنى, and he will place his right hand on his right thigh. وعقد 53 وأشار بالسبابة, and he will put his hands in number 53. So that's the number 53 that we're talking about. The عاقدين 53. So that's the number 53. وأشار بالسبابة. So that means he will ishara. That means he will actually straighten his apa ni? What's this? Index finger. His index. Now, and the other way that we have shared is to put in the number 23. Put in the number 23. Yeah. Any questions?
Well, but sometimes I
Yes.
see like some people they tap their index finger
Like that.
during tahiyat. Yeah. What's that?
Yeah, so this one was what we mentioned. So when they say yataharrak, they say move. So they take they lean towards the hadith of Imam Wail bin Hujr. Imam Wail bin Hujr, he states that Rasulullah SAW moves the finger. He moves the finger. But in the hadith of Abdullah ibn Zubair radiallahu anhuma, he says Rasulullah SAW lifts the finger. So that's why we say that Imam Baihaqi brings the two hadith together to show that when Rasulullah SAW raises his finger, that is when Rasulullah SAW moves his finger. But there are people from the madhab of Imam Ahmad bin Hanbal and the madhab of Imam Malik who takes the opinion that moving the finger means moving the finger. That means they lean towards the hadith of Imam Wail bin Hujr. But by following the hadith of Imam Wail bin Hujr, Imam Ahmad, there are some scholars in the madhab of Imam Ahmad and there are some scholars in Imam Malik who says that moving the finger, it does something to shaitan. But like we said, that if we want, we should follow our madhab. We follow what our the Imam Baihaqi, and then the strong opinion is to lift. It is enough to lift, and by we say lifting, it actually merges or it actually reconciles the two hadith. The hadith by Abdullah ibn Zubayr, Sayyidina Abdullah bin Zubayr radiallahu anhuma, and Sayyidina Wail bin Hujr radiallahu anhu. So these two hadith you can reconcile by saying that when you lift your finger, that is when you move the finger. Okay? Inshallah. Now. Okay. Can? And then of course we continue on tasyahhud awal. We say that to repeat, it is sunnah to give the prayer upon the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wa alihi wa sallam, and the minimum is Allahumma salli ala Muhammadin, or best is Allahumma salli ala Sayyidina Muhammadin. Now, when we omit any of this, we can sit in the tasyahhud awal position. If you don't sit, there are three things. If you don't sit in the tasyahhud awal position, or you don't recite the tahiyyat in the tasyahhud awal position, or you don't recite the salawat in the tasyahhud awal position, or by not doing any of these three, then it is sunnah for you to do the prostration of forgetfulness, sujood sahwi. You all got that? It means if you don't do any of the three, there are three components in tasyahhud awal. The first you say at-tahiyatul mubarakatu salawatu at-tahiyatu lillah salamun alayka all the way until asyhadu an la ilaha illallah wa anna muhammadar rasulullah. That is one. If you don't say that, if you don't say that, or you don't recite the salawat, or you don't do the sitting at all. So you don't say the tahiyat, or you don't recite the salawat, or you don't do the sitting at all. This, by not doing these three, then it is sunnah for you to do the prostration of forgetfulness.
That's helpful.
Nah,
For that one,
yeah,
even
sorry.
we do it on purpose. Macam for example, sengaja tak duduk or sengaja tak recite selawat, then
Yes,
we still have to.
if even sengaja also you do your prostration of forgetfulness.
Okay.
And it doesn't affect unless you don't do that because you want to do this prostration of forgetfulness. Then this is not allowed. You understand?
Mm.
Can say I want to do the prostration of forgetfulness. Then in this case, you want to add in a rukun. So that is not allowed. Okay, just give me can and then do we add wa ala ali Muhammad? This is another thing that I have to explain. There are some scholars who say that it is okay to add in wa ala ali Muhammad, but there are some scholars, for example, Imam An-Nawawi and the Ashab, that prefers that it is not sunnah to recite wa ala ali Muhammad or wa ala ali Sayyidina Muhammad. Because in a weak opinion in the madhab, that it is obligatory or it is part of rukun to recite the salawat upon the family of the Prophet of Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam. And this includes the author of Al-Yaqutun Nafis, or the author of Al-Yaqutun Nafis, Ahmad Shatiri, I forgot the name. The author of Al-Yaqutun Nafis, he said that, or actually the Sharah, his son actually Sharah his kitab and said that actually the father does it, puts it together because of its of adat, that it is comes together. But there are opinions, but they are the weak opinions that say that it is part of integral. It's an integral to actually to recite wa ala ali Sayyidina Muhammad, and not a sunnah. That means it is wajib, not a sunnah. The preferred opinion in the madhab that it is sunnah, but there is also opinion that says it is wajib. So number one, there are scholars who opines that it is wajib to recite to recite salawat on the family of the Prophet in tasyahhud akhir. That's number one. Number two, it is accepted, or it is agreed that to recite the salawat on the family of the Prophet, it is not sunnah. It is not sunnah in the tahiyat awal. That means in tahiyat awal, what is sunnah is just Allahumma salli ala Sayyidina Muhammadin, and it is not sunnah to say wa ala ali Sayyidina Muhammadin. So some scholars would consider that if you add wa ala ali sayyidina Muhammadin, then you can consider it as you are adding a rukun. But one can also argue that adding a rukun means it is rukun qawli. This means rukun qawli and rukun fi'li. So rukun qawli. So when we say that, if one recites a rukun qawli at a place where it's not its place. For example, you recite Fatiha when you're doing ruku', or you recite tasyahhud when you're in a state of sujood. In all these cases, you are required to do the sujood of forgetfulness. It is sunnah for you to do the sujood of forgetfulness. So that's why the sujood of forgetfulness, I will come to it, inshallah. Maybe not today, but in the time to come, I will talk about sujood. It's actually a very big chapter. So, and because of that, they say that it is best to leave it. Okay, understand? Because it is best to leave it. But there are some scholars, and this also, and some of our teachers themselves, they encourage to say just recite wa ala ali sayyidina Muhammadin because of its short nature and how it is because of its very short nature and how it actually doesn't really affect the prayer. So wa ala ali sayyidina Muhammad is also, so which one you follow, it is up to you. It's up to you. So we have teachers both who actually go and say that you recite wa ala ali sayyidina Muhammad, it is better to recite wa ala ali sayyidina Muhammad, and there are those who actually follow and say, who follow the opinion of Imam Nawawi and said it is best to leave wa ala ali sayyidina Muhammad in tasyahhud awal. So there are two sets. And the opinion of our at least for Sheikh Fuad is to leave it. So because he also follows the opinion of Imam Nawawi, and likewise that is the opinion of Sheikh Omar Al-Khatib. Sheikh Omar Al-Khatib also leaves it. So it is up to you which one you want to follow. You want to say wa ala ali sayyidina Muhammad, you want to say wa ala ali, or you want to say wa ala ali sayyidina Muhammad, it is up to you. Sheikh Omar Al-Khatib is a bit strict when it comes to prayer. Hatta to say Sayyidina Ibrahim, Sheikh Omar Al-Khatib does not allow it. Because he said that for Sayyidina Rasulullah SAW, to say Sayyidina, it is warid. It is warid, that means it is there is hadith to back call Rasulullah SAW Sayyidina. For example, the hadith that I mentioned where Rasulullah SAW says, Ana Sayyidun Nas Yawm Al-Qiyamah. But in the case of Sayyidina Ibrahim alayhi salam, then there is no hadith to back up. So in that case, Sheikh Omar Al-Khatib considers whoever who recites Sayyidina Ibrahim, that is known as Kalam Ajnabi. It means you are saying something that is not part of prayer. Therefore, it invalidates your prayer. So that is the strictness of Sheikh Omar Al-Khatib. Hatta, when you say Suhuf Ibrahim or Musa in Surah Al-A'la, Sheikh Omar Al-Khatib's opinion is whoever who says alayhim as-salam, then it also invalidates the prayer because it's kalam mukhatab. But in Bushra al-Karim, it is allowed. So ala kulli hal, it is just the difference in the ulama. And these are the difference in ulama, the positions of ulama. But these are the differences in ulama. But you want to follow according to Imam Nawawi. Okay, sure. In according to Imam Nawawi, then the best is to leave it. And most of the scholars of the ashab of Imam Shafi'i is to leave, to say wa ala ali sayyidina Muhammad in the first tasyahhud. Can any questions? No.
Sorry, Akmal, maybe I might be going too far in front, but then with this opinion, is it the same for tasyahhud akhir? So leave the wa ala ali Muhammad.
No. For tasyahhud akhir, it is sunnah.
Oh, okay.
It is sunnah. The problem is because it is agreed, all the scholars agreed it is not sunnah for you to recite wa ala ali sayyidina Muhammad in the tasyahhud awal. So that is the so the question is whether it is better to say or not to say. Whether it's preferred to say it or not to say. That is the question that we have been talking about. But
Okay.
in tasyahhud akhir, it is sunnah. And like we said, there are some scholars who says it is wajib to say that Allahumma salli ala Sayyidina Muhammad wa ala ali Sayyidina.
Okay.
نعم. So and then after that, وَصَلَاةُ عَلَى النَّبِي وَتَشَهُدُ الْأَخِيرِ الْجُلُوسُ فِيهِ فَرْضٌ. And then the second tashahhud and sitting during it is compulsory. Is 302. It is compulsory. And when we talk about the tashahhud akhir, I think we can I think I covered most of it already. So in tashahhud akhir, we sit in a state of tawarruk. So in a state of tawarruk means you are not sitting, your left leg is stuck under you. Right? It is stuck under you, are not sitting on your leg, but it is stuck under you, and then your right leg is raised. And that is the tawarruk position. And that if because of another hadith where Rasulullah SAW sat in the tawarruk position during his tashahhud. And then we say that you put your hand on your thighs, on top of your thighs, Dhaman. So your hands are closed, and then we say that you use in a figure of 53. Yeah, I think I don't have any more to expand. والصلاة على النبي صلى الله عليه وآله صلى الله عليه وعلى آله وسلم بعد التشهد وقبل السلام فرض. The prayer on the Prophet, upon him and his family be peace and salutations, after the tashahhud but before the salam, is a compulsion, as is the sending the salam. So it's same thing. We said that to recite the salawat, and the minimum salawat for the tashahhud, to recite the salawat in the second tashahhud, that is compulsory, that is wajib, it is rukun. So to omit it can nullify to omit it amidan, in the state of purposely, then it can nullify your prayer. And then we discussed that the wasalatu ala ali wasalatu ala al-ali fihi sunnatun, and to make the salawat on his family is sunnah, la fi tashahhud awal. So even al-Imam al-Sheikh Abdullah bin Ahmad Basaudan in his book Al-Anwarul Lami'ah was talking about actually said that it is not sunnah to recite the tashahhud, the salawat on the family of the Prophet in tashahhud awal. Lakin ikhtiyaru sunnahu lakin ikhtiyaru sunnuha fi tashahhud al-awwal 'ala al-al. But it is chosen. So Imam Abdullah Basaudan is one of those who actually, Abdullah Basaudan is also one of those who said it is actually preferred to recite the tashahhud, to recite the salawat upon the family in the tashahhud awal. So we said that there's one is like Imam Nawawi, and there's one like Imam Abdullah Basaudan. So both are permissible. Up to you. Preferred which one you do. Which one you prefer. الركن الثالث عشر الركن الثالث and then the most complete the most complete salawat on the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam is the salawat Ibrahimiyah. The salawat Ibrahimiyah, and the most complete salawat Ibrahimiyah is Allahumma salli ala Sayyidina Muhammadin abdika wa rasulika an-nabiyyil ummi wa ala ali Sayyidina Muhammadin wa azwajihi wa dhurriyyatihi kama sallaita ala Ibrahim wa ala ali Ibrahim wa barik ala Sayyidina Muhammadin abdika wa rasulika an-nabiyyil ummi wa ala ali Sayyidina Muhammadin wa azwajihi wa dhurriyyatihi kama barakta ala Ibrahim wa ala ali Ibrahim fil alamina innaka Hamidum Majid. Or alternatively, I think what we are more used to, Allahumma salli ala Sayyidina Muhammadin wa ala ali Sayyidina Muhammadin kama sallaita ala Ibrahim wa ala ali Ibrahim wa barik ala Sayyidina Muhammadin wa ala ali Sayyidina Muhammadin kama barakta ala Ibrahim wa ala ali Ibrahim fil alamina innaka Hamidum Majid. And so this is the best. This is the most complete. This is the most complete form of salawat, and this is the best salawat. Because this is warid from Rasulullah SAW, and he said that the best salawat is the salawat of Ibrahimiyah. No matter what salawat, the best salawat is still salawat Ibrahimiyah. But of course, not to say that all the other salawats are not good. Every salawat is good, and there are some salawats, mashallah, there are different fadilah. For example, there's the salawatul Fatih. Allahumma salli ala Sayyidina Muhammadin Allahumma salli ala Sayyidina Muhammadin al-Fatih lima ukhliq والخاتم لما سبق ناصر الحق بالحق والهدي إلى صراطك المستقيم صلى الله عليه وعلى آله وصحبه حق قدره ومقداره العظيم. All this, and there's even some scholars or some Ahli Sir or Ahli al-Ma'rifah or the Gnostics people, they actually said that, example, that the Salawat Fatih, if you say it once, it is equivalent to reciting 60,000 salawats. Wallahu a'lam bisawab, mashallah. But that is some of the dorongan, there is some pull or some encouragement for us to make salawat. But of course, afdal from all of them is salawat Ibrahimiyah, because this one is given by Rasulullah SAW. Say the best salawat is salawat Ibrahimiyah, right? And why we put together Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam with Nabi Ibrahim alayhi salam, because the first one, the term rahmah, and barakah, it is not given in the Quran to other prophets except for the Prophet Ibrahim alayhi salatu wasalam. In how Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala mentions in Surah Hud, rahmatullahi wa barakatuhu alaykum ahlal bayt. That means the mercy of Allah and the barakah of Allah is given upon you, or the Ahlul Bayt, which is the family of the Prophet Ibrahim alayhi salam. And that is Surah Hud, right? And then when we talk about the family of Nabi Ibrahim alayhi salam, we are referring to Nabi Ishaq, we are referring to Nabi Ismail, and so on and so forth. And we see that all that Nabi Ibrahim is also known as Abul Mursalin, the father of the messengers, so Abul Anbiya. And the Abul Anbiya or Abul Mursalin, the father of the prophets, or the father of the messengers. And all of the prophets that come, the messengers that come after Nabi Ibrahim are from the line of Nabi Ishaq alayhi salam. Nabi Ishaq, the son of Nabi Ishaq is Nabi Ya'qub. The son of Nabi Ya'qub is Nabi Yusuf, and so on and so forth. All of them come from the line of Nabi Ishaq alayhi salam, except for Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, which comes from the line of Nabi Ismail alayhi salam, alayhi nabiyina wa alayhim afdalus salati wassalam. So that is the most complete salawat. And then of course, I think to wrap up maybe today, salam, before the salam is farded. Wassalamu minas salati. And as-salam is part of salah. The prayer, the minimum salam. There is no translation here, but there's actually there's actually okay. It says, but before the salam is a compulsion, as is the sending of the salam. So what as-salamu minas salam, basically as-salatu as-salamu minas salati fardun. That the salam that is part of the salah is fard. Wa aqallu salam assalamu alaikum. The salam that is done. The number one, the salam is part of salat. That's one thing that we can get from here. Number one, the salam is part of salat. Number two, the salam is fard. And the salam is actually fardu. That means is an obligation that we must recite. There is a compulsion for us to recite the salam. And number three is the minimum salam that we mentioned is assalamu alaikum. So what is obligated here? What is obligated here is to say the salam. Assalamu alaikum. That is all that is obligation. To turn your head, that is sunnah. That is part of the sunnah. What is obligated is for you to say assalamu alaikum. And that is the minimum. There is actually and in the madhab of Imam Shafi'i, it is wajib for us to say as-salam with the alif lam. It is wajib for us to say as-salam with the alif lam. It is wajib for us to say as-salam with the alif lam. Assalamu alaikum. And the most complete as-salam is to say assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah, with the exception without saying wa barakatuh. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah without saying wa barakatuh. However, in there is a difference in the opinion of Imam Ibn Hajar and Imam Malik. Imam Ibn Hajar, if I can recall, if it is one or the other, Imam Ibn Hajar said that for the janazah prayer, it is sunnah to say wa barakatuh. But Imam Malik said that it is not sunnah. Only for the janazah prayer. So what the scholars, our great scholars from Hadramaut, the way that they actually give their salam in janazah prayers is to say assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. So they will say wa barakatuhu in a soft manner. Assalamu alaikum is to say it out loud, wa barakatuhu is to say it softly. So that they actually practice both of they try to reconcile the opinion of Imam Ibn Hajar and Imam Malik. ويسن تسليمة ثانية وأن يبدأ وأن يبدي وأن يبدأ وأن يب وأن يبتدئ به وهو مستقبلة القبلة. And so the start, it is also sunnah to start, number one, to start by giving the salam while facing the qibla. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah. Then you turn. To start with by facing the qibla. Wa an yaltafita fil ula bihaythu yura khaddahu al-ayman. And then the next one is when we turn. So how do we turn? Number one, when we turn, to what extent we turn? We turn until we can see our right cheek. Our cheek. It's not just like this. Turn until you can see the cheek. But where do you look? You look at your shoulder. You look at your shoulder. And then when you say salam on the left side, the same thing. You look until you can see your left cheek and you look towards your shoulder. You look towards your shoulder. Khadduhul aysar. And so you look at your left cheek. And it is, but however, it is haram to make salam if after you it's haram to make the second salam. Sorry, it's haram to make the second salam if after your first salam you are in a state where you are unable to pray. For example, you are in a sami, you Assalamualaikum warahmatullah, point terkentut. Assalamualaikum warahmatullah, then you terkentut. Then in this case you don't make the second salam. It's haram to do that. But it's still valid. Your prayer is still valid, but it's haram because it is a way, or it is still a part of it is not a part of prayer, but it is the one of the suratul salah. It is one of the ways of salah. So if you dah terkentut, then that's 116 lah. And likewise, if a person he salams the second salam, they pray Jumaat lambat, they pray Jumaat very late. Because one of the conditions for Jumaat prayers is that the whole Jumaat prayers must be done within the waqtu of Dhuhr. The whole Jumaat prayers must be done in the time of Dhuhr, the Dhuhr time. So that means if the Imam, if any part of your Jumaat prayer you have entered the time of Asar, immediately your Jumaat prayer becomes Dhuhr prayers. The Jumaat prayers become Dhuhr prayers. So let's say you Assalamualaikum warahmatullah, that's Allahu Akbar, Allahu Akbar. Then therefore immediately you finish your prayers there. Don't do Assalamualaikum warahmatullah. If you do Assalamualaikum warahmatullah again, now you have to do 4 rakaat. Because it's already out of the time of Dhuhr prayer. Yeah. And when we do the salam, this is mentioned also by Imam Nawawi. When you do the salam, it is sunnah for you to niyat, to make the intention, to make that you are giving salam to the creations that is on your right. From the jinns and the ins. It means the jinns, I mean the jinn, and the ins as in mankind. So when you say Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah, in your heart you can say, I intend to give salam to everyone that's on my right. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah, everyone that's on my left. And then you will get the fadilah, you get extra pahala, bonus in pahala. What is the bonus? Your bonus is that you are able to receive the rewards of giving salam. You receive the rewards of giving salam. And so you give, when you give salam, not only to the ins and jinns, then also to the malaikat. And so give the salam. Assalamu alaikum warahmatullah. My intention is to give salam to the malaikat, jinns, and the jinn and the mankind that is on my right, and then to my left. So for every creation on whom we intend the salam for, Allah gives us a reward for it. Without any intention, you don't get the reward. So for the Imam, you intend to give salam to your ma'mum. And Imam gives salam to his ma'mum, and the ma'mum gives salam to the Imam. The ma'mum, in his intention, is also to raddu salam ala imam. Raddu salami imam. So he intend to reply the salam of him. So that's just an extra bonus for us. Okay? Any questions?
Just now you were talking about kalau dah pas Zuhur time, then if you do the second salam that just in time, then you have to do 4 rakaat for Zuhur, right? But at
Yeah.
that point in time, the time dah lari. So what is supposed to do with that? Do you need to
You stand up.
back or just stand up?
No, you
Okay.
stand up and continue.
Okay.
Yeah. There is one sunnah that I want to emphasize before we close everything. One sunnah that I want to emphasize, to be done before the salam, after the tasyahhud. After your salawat, before you want to give salam, there is one sunnah, and that sunnah is to make dua to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala before you give your salam. It is the sunnah is to make dua to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala before you give the salam. There is hadith of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Just give me some time to get the hadith out. Okay. Oh, I did not hafal the hadith. So just give me a moment to. I remember. There is a hadith narrated by Imam Muslim where Rasulullah SAW says, وَجَعَلْهُنَّ آخِرَ مَا تَقُولُ. Make that your last before make the last of what you say. Allahumma inni a'udhuka min adhabi jahannam wa min adhabil qabri wa min fitnatil mahya wal mamat wa min sharri fitnati masihid dajjal wa min al maghrami wa ma'tab. So that is one of the dua where Rasulullah SAW emphasized to recite before you make your salam. At the end, your last thing you say before you pray. And there are multiple riwayat where Rasulullah SAW says part of where your dua is mustajab. Rasulullah SAW is at the end before your salam. That is a place where your dua is mustajab. And from what if I'm not wrong, it's Imam Haddad. If it's not Imam Haddad, forgive me. But there are 3 places in your salat where your dua is extremely mustajab. There are 3 places. The first place is your sujud. Any sujud. And I think we have mentioned this before. Any sujud, your dua is mustajab. So don't not just the last sujud, but any sujud. The next one is what we have mentioned, which is before the salam. Unless you do sujood sahwi, then you do before your sujood sahwi. And the last one, it is when the last one is in between your Fatiha and your Amin. And that's why Imam Haddad encourages us that when we finish reciting our Fatiha, waladdallin, before we recite Amin, we say, Rabbi ghfirli wa li walidayya wa li jami'il muslimin. Rabbi ghfirli wa li walidayya wa li jami'il muslimin. So these are the 3 places. The first is in any sujud. The second is before the salam. The third is between your Fatiha and your Amin. And Rasulullah SAW, there are a few dua that Rasulullah SAW recited before that Rasulullah SAW recited before that he recited before his salam. They are ma'thur. The first is Allahumma inni a'udhu bika, the one that we have mentioned. Allahumma inni a'udhu bika min adhabi jahannam wa min adhabil qabri wa min fitnatil mahya wal mamat wa min sharri fitnati masihid dajjal wa min al maghrami wa ma'tab. Which is Allahumma inni a'udhu bika min adhabil qabr, or you can say wa Allahumma inni a'udhu bika min adhabi jahannam wa min fitnatil qabri wa min fitnatil mahya wal mamat wa min sharri fitnati masihid dajjal. Oh Allah, Allahumma inni, oh Allah, verily I, a'udhu bika, Allahumma inni a'udhu bika. I seek refuge in you. Min adabi jahannam. From the torment of the hellfire. Min adabi jahannam. Allahumma inni a'udhu bika min adabi jahannam. Wa min fitnatil qabri. And from the fitnah of the grave. Wa min adabil qabri. Both can. Adabil qabri, fitnatil qabri, both can. Wa min adabil qabri. The adab of the grave. Wa min fitnatil mahya wal mamat. And the fitnah of al-mahya, of life and death. Wa min fitnatil mahya wal mamat. Wa min sharri fitnati masihid dajjal. And the evil of the fitnah of al-masih ad-dajjal. And please don't leave this. Don't leave this. Don't leave this dua. Don't leave this dua, especially during the time that we are living. We are in the akhir zaman. As more that we are reaching the akhir zaman, the more we need to seek refuge of the fitnah of the dunya, the fitnah of Masih Dajjal, because we are getting closer and closer to Dajjal. When Dajjal comes out, wallahu a'lam, that's not up to us to decide, but it is coming closer and closer. And the fitnah you can feel. We can feel the fitnah getting more dashat and dashat. Therefore, you need to always ask Rasulullah, always ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala for his refuge, and always ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala for his protection. And wa min al-maghrami wa min al-maghrami wa ma'tab. Then there's also to add in Allahumma firli ma qaddamtu wa ma akhartu wa ma asrartu wa ma a'lantu wa ma asraftu wa ma anta a'lamu bihi minni anta al-muqaddimu wa anta al-mu'akhiru la ilaha illa anta. Allahumma inni Allahumma ghfirli. Oh Allah, forgive. Allahumma ghfirli ma qaddamtu, whatever that I have done in the past. Wa ma akhartu, and whatever that I am doing, I will do in the future. Wa ma asrartu, and whatever that I have done in secret. Wa ma asrartu wa ma a'lantu, and whatever that I have done in the open. Wa ma asraftu, and whatever that I have transgressed myself. I have transgressed the boundaries. Wa ma anta a'lamu bihi minni, and whatever that you know from me, that you know more than I do. Antal muqaddimu wa antal muakhiru. You are the most muqaddim, you are the first and you are the last. La ilaha illa anta. There is no God but you. And there are more dua amongst dua, ya muqallibal qulub thabbit qalbi ala dinik. And then another dua, Allahumma inni zalamtu nafsi dhulman kathiran kabira wa la yaghfiru dhunuba illa anta faghfir li maghfiratan min 'indika warhamni innaka antal ghafurur rahim. So there are actually a lot of dua. For those who have the Syekh Omar Al-Khatib punya book, the Bab Salat, is in Bab Salat 1. You can look at all these dua. Like it's very beautiful. You think that all this actually goes back to Rasulullah SAW. Rasulullah SAW says, Allahumma inni zalamtu nafsi. Oh Allah, I have zalamtu nafsi. Then I have oppressed myself. Zalamtu nafsi, I have oppressed myself. Zulman kathiran kabira. Then I have oppressed myself is such that I have oppressed myself a lot and greatly. And there is no one who can forgive sins except for you. Faghfirli, and forgive me, maghfiratan indika, with the forgiveness that lies with you. Warhamni, and bestow your mercy upon me. Innaka antal ghafurur rahim. Verily, you are the most forgiving and you are the most merciful. Now, inshallah. And here for today, just to remind you, inshallah later after Asar or before Maghrib, don't forget to recite your Wiridul. Any questions? Any questions? There's no questions. Then we inshallah, alhamdulillah, I believe that we have actually completed We have completed the whole portion on the obligations of Salah. Alhamdulillah. So we are going to go into the Sunnah of Salah and the Mubtalat of Salah in the next lessons. The Sunnah of Salah. Then maybe inshallah we will also go through. I will try to seek maybe I will ask our teachers where I should insert on the Sujood Sahwi, the prayer of forgetfulness. Because to explain Sujood Sahwi, it needs a bit of time. And to need, it needs a bit of time. It's very technical, a bit dry also. Allah alam bisawab. Any questions, anyone? Alhamdulillah, ya Allah. If not, we will end with dua. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم ربنا انفعنا بما علمتنا ربي علمنا الذي ينفعنا ربي فقهنا وفقه أهلنا وقرابات لنا في ديننا مع أهل الكتر أنثى وذكر ربي وفقنا ووفقهم لما ترتدي قولا وفعلا كرما وارزق الكل حلالا دائما وأخل الأتقياء علما نحظى بالخير ونكفى كل شر ربنا أصلح لنا كل شؤون وأقر بالرضا منك العيون واقض عنا ربنا كل الديون قبل أن تأتينا الرسل المنون واغفر واستر أنت أكرم من ستر وصلاة الله تغشى المصطفى من إلى الحق دعانا والوفاء بكتاب فيه للناس شفاء وعلى الآل كرام شرفاء وعلى الصحب المصابيح الغرر اللهم اهدنا بهداك واجعلنا ممن يسارع في رضاك ولا تولنا وليا سواك ولا تجعلنا ممن خالف أمرك وعصاك وحسبنا الله ونعم الوكيل ولا حول ولا قوة إلا بالله العلي العظيم يا ربنا اعترفنا بأننا اقترفنا وأننا أسرفنا على لظى أشرفنا فتب علينا توبة تغسل لكل حوبة واستر لنا العورات وآمين الروعات واغفر لوالدينا ربي ومولودينا والأهل والإخوان وسائر الخلان وكل ذي محبة أو جيرة أو صحبة والمسلمين أجمع آمين ربي فاسمع فضلا وجودا منا لا باكتساب منا بالمصطفى الرسول نحظى بكل سولي بالمصطفى الرسول نحظى بكل سولي بالمصطفى الرسول نحظى بكل سولي صلى وسلم ربي عليه عد الحب وآله وصحبه عدادة الصحب والحمد لله في البدء والتناهي. Thank you very much everyone. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Waalaikumsalam. Thank you, Kuman.